Thank you.
So it is my great honor to interview Nola Peacock for Blue Talks. She not only is a friend of mine, an amazing person, but has had a journey with cancer. Being an oncology nurse and then being diagnosed with cancer and now helping other people thrive and live with a disease that they didn't ask for, but they have, and she helps them get through that and get through her own obstacles. Welcome, Nola.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you, Susan.
So glad to have you here.
So nice to be here.
Yeah. So tell me, what was it like to be diagnosed with stage 4 cancer?
It was a big shock. I had gone through, the first round, right, was stage 3, and went through a year of treatment and then was declared, cancer-free. And just recently, I was having lots of back pain and wound up in urgent care a couple of times. And the first time had a CT scan, and then they came back and said, yeah, you've got some wedge fractures in your vertebrae, but there's no cancer. So I'm like, yay. A month later, I got different news. So they found cancer along my spine, and since then with more testing, it's in my ribs and hips and clavicle. Now as a oncology nurse, right, stage 4, it's like, that's it, right? So I went home and thought I better update my will, and started thinking about things that, I could pass on to other people, and some of the things that I really wanted to do before I go. And I think that lasted probably about a week. And then I thought, no, I've got to, I've worked with kids and with clients around mindset. And it's like, yeah, I gotta change this.
Yeah. So what was that big aha for you? Like, what was that, that thing that changed?
I think, the first part was just kind of realizing that when I had initially heard that the cancer was in my bones, I had this thought that, so my intuition going, there's a lesson and you're going to be okay. So I held on to that, and I thought, okay, there's some learning, there's some more healing that I need to do. And then, eventually I'll be able to use this again to help more people. So I had a call with someone and did an Akashic Record reading, and it was very powerful. And at the time, I was having so much pain in my ribs that I could not cry. I couldn't cough, couldn't sneeze, but I also could not cry. And that had been really hard, holding everything in, because I know when we hold our emotions in, right, that creates disease in our body. And I knew I needed to let go of things. And when what came out of this reading was, and I'm going to get emotional, the guilt and the grief that I have held all these years for the little kids that I looked after with cancer. It's like, here are these, innocent little ones. I had my youngest that I had looked after was 2 months old, right through to 18, 19, I think was the oldest. And I loved these kids like they were my own. I treated them like they were a family member. And I didn't realize that I had carried that with me all these years, and just thinking, it's not fair. They were so innocent. Why did they have to go through all of that? Why did, some of them die and I'm still here, right? Mm-hmm. That's not fair. And so being able to release that, and since then, having, during a couple meditations, having some of these little ones come through to me and thank me for being there and letting me know that I made a difference.
Yes, and that's why you're still here.
Yeah.
And wow, what a journey. So what now? Like, what are you going through now? How are you helping people? What does this all look like?
Well, right now, my focus is on me, just doing some more healing. I had experienced months of back pain and pain in my ribs, and so getting rested from that. I also had radiation treatment, and I'm on immunotherapy as well. So that's kind of knocking me out a little bit. So really focusing on that, but also, always in the back of my mind, it's like, what can I do to help others? And realizing that, so much of what we go through is, emotional things that, if we hold on to stuff, hold on to those emotions, then it does create disease. And one of the things for breast cancer that I've learned is that, it can be around, mother issues. And I thought, well, that, fits for me as well, because I'd had a stillbirth in between my 2 kids and then 2 miscarriages. And I'm thinking, well, if that isn't enough to create it. But then with this reading, finding out, it was more than that. There were way more kids that were surrounding me and, saying it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So just, looking at all of this, and again, keeping track of what's working, what's not. And then, once I feel a little bit stronger, then being able to help people going through cancer, because it's a tough journey. Our medical system can only offer, so much. I mean, I see the gaps in it, and, I want to help fill those gaps.
Yeah, not only being on the inside, but on the outside as well, right? Yeah. So seeing the gaps, and I mean, you've been working with people with cancer for years, right? Mm-hmm. Is there a difference are we making a big difference? Is there a difference being made in the cancer world? Or is it more the education of the people that have cancer and helping them live with it? Is that making the biggest difference?
I think that's what it is. And looking at, other things that can support us, right? And, I think back, when I was, looking after these little kids, we were taught, they could just eat whatever they wanted, right? There was no, and I'm thinking, and then I've stayed in touch with a mom whose son had leukemia, and she said, she wanted to take him to the chiropractor to help him with his neuropathy. Well, they poo-pooed that. It's like, no, don't do that. And I was like, oh, wow. Right? And there's so many things out there. I wear these little patches that have no drugs, no side effects, no contraindications, and I've been able to eliminate the peripheral neuropathy that I had from the chemo, right? And stay. So there's so many other options out there, and I wish that our, Western medicine would be open to that, but that's what I want to try and combine. Because one of the other things too is when I was first diagnosed, it's like, I was into that holistic, right, doing Reiki and that kind of stuff. And so there was part of me, it's like, well, but, which way do I go? But as my kids said to me, you've got to do everything. And I thought, well, if I just go and do the holistic and it doesn't work, I'm going to regret not doing the chemo and radiation. I thought, I'm throwing everything I can at it.
Right.
And
Yeah. You mentioned your kids, and you mentioned how they're helping you. I have this question for you, and it's the time machine question of, if there was a time machine waiting for you when you left this room to take you back to your younger self, what would you tell your younger self? And how would that make a difference for you?
Well, my younger self was so quiet and so shy and afraid to make any mistakes. So, didn't take any risks, I was worried about hurting someone else's feelings. I have a huge heart, and I'm, I love that. And, I didn't want to offend anybody. I didn't want to upset anybody. So I held so much in and stayed quiet and just didn't do the things that, I maybe wanted to do. I think I probably turned it off. I wasn't even aware that, oh yeah, maybe you'd like to go to a dance or something. I just did what I thought other people wanted me to do. And so I would tell her, just live your life. It's okay to make mistakes, and just, life goes by so fast. I can't believe how old I am now, right? It's like, oh, how did that happen so quickly? And just live.
Yeah, just live. And how old would she have been when you told her that? Or is it at different stages throughout?
She probably would have needed reminders, I'm sure. But I think, like in high school, I remember, feeling depressed and like I didn't fit in. And, I think it started then. So it's just like, yeah, just please just live your life. And then, as I went through nursing and stuff too, don't be afraid to, to ask questions. And right, I think about my training or, different things. It's like, well, why? Why do we do it this way, or why not? Like, ask those questions.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Because when we do go back, I think. Now, here's an interesting question too. Would you go back? Would you go back and would you tell her that? Do you think that would help change things in the reverse order? Or do you think it would definitely change her to just live and just be?
Oh, good question. Well, going back, I wonder whether she would have listened.
Yeah.
Right? Because she was so afraid, right? She didn't want to hurt anybody. But I can only imagine how different that would be. And, I don't want to go back and relive things. I'm quite happy where I am. And, I do feel that, yes, I'm going through this tough time right now, not feeling great. And I know it's going to get better. And, I've got work to do. There's lots of things that I can do to help people. And the only reason that I can do that is because of all of these things that I've gone through, right? It's taught me so many things and I'm grateful.
Yeah, exactly. Lovely. Yeah, because when you were little, I teach people that everything you go through, you have to go through so that you can be the person that you are and person that you're meant to be. What do you think has been the hardest thing that you've gone through with this diagnosis?
Well, sitting and hearing the radiation oncologist, tell me that it's stage 4. And then he's kind of like, do you want a timeline? I'm like, no, don't give me that. And the other thing is too, taking this immunotherapy. I had an appointment with my medical oncologist, and then the pharmacist comes in and goes through all of the side effects and stuff of the medication. Then a couple weeks later, I go and I get the injection, and they give me the prescription or the pills to take. And the pharmacist sits and goes through all of the side effects. And then I get home and I read, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I don't want to take this. I don't want to take it. Because, there's some side effects can cause sudden death. I'm like, oh great. I don't want that in my mind. So, I worked with a friend and said, okay, I've got to change this, because I realized that every time I would pick up the box of medication, right, I'm like, I don't want to, right? And it's like, no, I can't do that. I've got to flip things, and this is going to work and help to eliminate the cancer cells without side effects. And I've got to keep telling my body that. So I think one of the hardest things is unlearning my nursing knowledge, right? And just feeding myself with positive information. And what is the benefit of this stuff that I'm taking, not what are the potential side effects.
Right. And so by going back and telling your younger self to just live, do you think that if kind of really looking back, do you think that you would have said, why? Why do I just live? Why should I live? What's going to happen? And would you have told her?
She probably wouldn't have asked that question because she would have been too nervous. But I think I would have told her that she's worth it.
Yes.
Right? She's worth it. Live your life, right? You're not responsible. I think that, that's been another big lesson for me over the years, is that I am not responsible for fixing the world. And that I've carried, right? If I see somebody in trouble, I want to jump in and help and to fix it. And I finally realized it's not up to me. I mean, yes, I can certainly help, but it's not my responsibility. I am only responsible for me. So if she could have got that lesson, just be responsible for you and, live your life. And
Wow.
Yeah.
Just be responsible for you and live your life. Wow. That is so, it's so powerful. Thank you so much, Nola, for being here and for being a part of Blue Talks. This is amazing.